Washington, this is VOA News. Nigeria declared free of Ebola. Turkey helping Iraqi Kurds cross into Syria to aid Kurdish fighters. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. The World Health Organization says Nigeria is free from Ebola after 42 days passed with no new reported cases. WHO Representative Rui Gama calls the development a success story.
But we must be clear that we only won a battle. The war will only end when West Africa is also declared free of Ebola.
Nigeria had 20 cases of Ebola and 8 deaths. Last week, the WHO declared Senegal to be Ebola-free. In the southwestern U.S. city of Dallas, Texas, Monday, the 21-day quarantine was lifted on 43 people who had contact with the state's first Ebola patient. But Dallas Mayor Mike Rawlings says 120 others who had contact with one of the other Ebola patients are still being watched for signs of the virus. Turkey says it is helping Iraqi Kurds cross into Syria to aid Kurdish fighters as they fight the advance of Islamic State militants in the town of Kobani. The announcement Monday by Turkey's foreign minister came as the United States airdropped weapons, ammunition, and medical supplies from Kurdish authorities in Iraq to Kurdish forces defending Kobani just south of the Turkish border. Al-Qaeda militants have killed at least 18 Shiite rebels in a suicide bomb attack and other attacks near Yemen's capital Sana'a. The victims were members of the Houthi movement who had taken over the capital last month. Most of the rebels were killed in a car bombing that targeted the house of a top local official with the party of ousted President Ali Abdullah Saleh. This is VOA News. Fierce fighting between Islamist militias and pro-government forces in Benghazi, Libya, killed at least 65 people over the past several days. Those clashes have sent thousands of residents fleeing. A Libyan militant pleaded not guilty in a U.S. federal court to charges linked to the September 11, 2012 attacks in Benghazi that killed 4 American citizens, including the U.S. ambassador. Ahmed Abu Khattala entered a not guilty plea Monday. He is charged with 18 counts, including murder of an internationally protected person and killing a person during an attack on a federal facility. Some of the charges carry the death penalty. Khattala is the first suspect to be charged in the Benghazi attacks. The ceasefire deal announced by the Nigerian government last week appears to be coming apart. VOA's Ann Look reports.
Residents of Borno State say that since the ceasefire was announced Friday, militants have attacked several communities, killing at least 40 people and hoisting their black flag over the border town of Abadam. The government said those attacks were the work of fringe groups who hadn't yet gotten word of the ceasefire. However, a member of a civilian militia group allied with the government and an army officer in Borno State told VOA that on Sunday night, Boko Haram militants stormed the town of Damboa. A state intelligence official in Borno told VOA the army drove back the attack. The fighting casts even further doubt on the ceasefire. And look, Abuja.
Russia is suspending the import of a number of meat products from the European Union. It is a widening of restrictions on food products from Europe and the United States that Russia imposed earlier this year in response to Western sanctions over its actions in Ukraine. Hong Kong's pro-democracy leaders have strongly denied claims by the city's chief executive that the weeks of mass rallies are being orchestrated by foreign forces. The Secretary General of the Hong Kong Federation of Students, Alex Chow, rejected Hong Kong Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying's allegations Monday, saying the city chief is, in his words, just making it all up. Hong Kong's government is expected to open talks with student demonstrators Tuesday. Indonesia has a new president. Joko Widodo took the oath of office Monday in the capital, Jakarta. He is the first elected president of Indonesia with no ties to the country's political or military elite. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry attended the inauguration. Myanmar, also known as Burma, will be holding its next parliamentary elections in late October or early November of next year. This will be Myanmar's second general election since the country began to emerge from decades of military rule in 2011. The next parliament is expected to choose the country's next president in early 2016. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.